I hate retirement. I know that sounds weird coming from me because I am not retired, but I have been a retirement life coach over the past decade, and I have found that this is not an uncommon feeling, even if it's fleeting. If this is you or someone you know, you're not alone, and in this part 1 video, I'm going to share the top 5 reasons why so many people feel unhappy in retirement. And then in part 2, I will share some tips to help you turn things around. In case you're new, I am Sin Meyer, the founder of Second Wind Movement and a retirement life coach for older adults who are striving to turn their retirement years into their best years full of purpose, passion, and meaning. And a big part of that is understanding the emotional journey in the context of the phases of retirement. And it's very likely that it's the disenchantment stage, stage 3, where the honeymoon period is over and the feelings of like restlessness and rudderlessness and sadness start to creep in. But why does this happen? Because of the stereotypical way that retirement is depicted. You are not a stereotype. I am not a stereotype. And if we anticipate a life that is a stereotype, that's not going to feel good. So a life of leisure only, or that vacation happiness, of course, it doesn't last, and then the honeymoon period ends. At the core of a challenge is a very outdated view of retirement. And following all the ones about retirement will only feel more and more uncomfortable over time. So all in all, a life of leisure only is not going to cut it. And if you only plan for financial aspects of retirement, that's also not going to be very fulfilling. If you're familiar with my content and what I call the 5 rings of retirement framework, finance is only one of the 5 rings of retirement with the sole purpose of fueling your life in the other 4 more colorful, meaningful, rich aspects of a whole, multifaceted, vibrant retirement life. We're taught to only focus on the concrete financial side of retirement planning, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. And all the other invisible, more important aspects are often ignored and just skipped over. So that leaves a lot of people stuck in what I call a retirement rut for way too long. Retirement, in my book, literally, is the beginning of a big growth journey. And to make that happen, all of these other invisible factors need to be addressed so that you can gain clarity. The clarity is so necessary for not only your next steps, but to also gain the energy and focus and your sense of contribution and relevance, and the right relationships and social engagements, and also your relaxation and your freedom, right? Because yes, you can have it all, especially during retirement. You just have to support it with that clarity and then the right structure and system. So this is exactly my wheelhouse and my personal passion and mission. I do this all day, every day. But for now, the 5 big reasons that people are unhappy in retirement. Number 1, lack of purpose. Over the past decade of helping older adults as a retirement life coach, I have found that the number 1 challenge that people face has to do with this feeling of lack of purpose. Because work provides, of course, a big sense of purpose and identity. When that's taken away and the roles that you're growing into are totally unknown and unfamiliar, it can lead to feelings of emptiness and a loss of self-worth. 31% of retirees admittedly struggle with a lack of purpose, especially people with big careers like executive positions or business owners, like that type of career role. Retirement is going to feel like going from 60 to 0 in some cases, or having like your days filled with tasks and responsibilities that are unfulfilling. They just take up space. And too often, friends, family, and even the internet, like ChatGPT, will advise you to keep busy with traditional things like golf or volunteering at traditional places or the senior center. But that is not for everyone. If it's for you, great. And consider diversifying beyond what's popular. Because here's my pro coaching tip. Don't just fall into the trap of trial and error, like trying the very popular things or asking other retirees what they're up to. That will essentially waste your time and energy, because retirement isn't about keeping busy just to fill your calendar or just to get out of the house. If you get anxiety when someone asks you, how's retirement going? Like on the inside, you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm really not feeling proud of this. It's a sign that we need to gain clarity first. It's about going inward for the answers, digging deep to truly discover what matters to uniquely you, now that you're free from the constraints of a 9 to 5 job. So sadly, most people just skip over this very important step of gaining inner clarity. And it is my personal mission to help you. So I encourage you to dig into my content and my tools around purpose that can help you. I will leave links to those resources in the description below in case you're intrigued. Number 2, not enough socializing. And again, not just socializing for the sake of getting out there to talk to people. There is a very specific way to engage with people who energize you, people who are aligned with you. And more on that in a bit, but I want to quickly cover the basic idea that for decades, your workplace has likely been a place for very convenient friendships, or your kids' friends' parents, any of these situations where you happen to see the same people over and over, and they just become convenient, natural friendships over time. So the average worker spends 8 hours every day with their colleagues, which is essentially a third of your day. So it comes as no surprise that 76% of people make friends through work, trumped only by high school. So of course, when a bustling hub of interaction goes away, whether it's at work or around your kids' activities, regardless of whether or not you like everyone, this does leave a big open social space in your life. And I do encourage you to not keep the void empty and be very choosy about who you let into your new weekly, monthly social circles. So back to the pro coaching tip. This is your opportunity to hone in on the types of relationships that you want to enjoy and cultivate during this specific life phase. So be selective, as in prune the people in your circle of concern. So these are people who drain your energy. The big culprits here are people who gossip, they obsess over the news, they're afraid of change, they tend to have a lot of fear-based thinking. And then add to your circle of influence. So these are the people who are uplifting. They encourage your change. They help you overcome challenges. They encourage your growth and your evolution. So sometimes people do end up in both circles. For example, you might have a friend who's energizing as a walking buddy, but draining as a drinking buddy. So remember just to pay attention to the context and the environment. The point is, more energizing activities in people, less draining activities in people. Either way, while it does take effort to gain clarity and reach out to people in your circle of influence, it is worth creating those connections and relationships in a completely new phase of life. Number 3, sudden retirement. It might be a mandatory retirement or an unplanned retirement. Life has a knack for just throwing surprises at us, of course. And sometimes these surprises come in the form of unexpected retirement. In fact, in recent history, as many as 56% of Americans over the age 50 have faced this particular challenge of unexpected retirement. And that can feel like an abrupt shift, causing a swirl of emotions simply because it happened out of your control, especially when you consider 1/3 of your life is spent at work. So this can be a total shock to your system, let alone planned retirement feeling that way for a lot of people, right? With all the identity shift roles and the big shift in your daily structure and your calendar. So if it comes earlier than you planned or unexpected, it can be especially painful simply because your mind may trick you into thinking that you have no options. And when that happens, that's when people start to feel hopeless. I will share that there are options, and there is such a thing as a paid passion project or projects where I have coached plenty of people through this. It's very important to gain clarity. There's a very specific process that I keep talking about, and people have unlocked some amazing revenue streams where they're sharing their unique gifts and helping audiences that they care about while making money. So as awful as unplanned retirement can be, it's going to be important to open up to your options because you do have options. It's just about, again, going inward to gain that clarity, get those answers not from external places, but internal places. And that's going to be a huge invisible step that most people just skip over so that you can focus on the things that are in your control that do give you options. And these are options not just for the sake of money, these are options that are energizing and life-giving. I have seen it time and time again. So please, again, check out the resources below this video for gaining clarity. I created the systems and programs to share with you. Number 4, health problems. Sometimes a happy retirement is overshadowed by health issues and health concerns that can just sneak in, and it can, of course, take on so many different forms, as well as their impact. In fact, by 2030, researchers estimate that more than 60% of baby boomers will be managing more than one chronic condition. I don't need to harp on this one because health is a big, tangible, obvious one for people as you age, but I do want to point out that your mental and emotional health is equally, if not more important, in guiding your way in this specific ring of retirement. So the mentality of how one person manages a diagnosis of Parkinson's or diabetes or a knee surgery is completely different from how another person manages that same diagnosis. Everything counts and is greatly impacted by your mental and emotional health, your mentality and your lifestyle. So please take care of the invisible stuff too. Without improving your health concerns, it can undoubtedly dampen the spirit of your retirement. Number 5, financial insecurity. Even though it's a completely different topic from your health, your mentality and emotional wellness can lead you to totally different outcomes as well. You can feel great abundance and financial wellness, and you can also feel great lack and financial insecurity. And to be totally honest, it goes way deeper than what you have in your bank account or how big someone's nest egg is. People of all wealth sizes can suffer from feeling financial insecurity. Just the mere transition of spending down your nest egg instead of building your wealth, which is what you typically do for decades, and so that's a deep conditioning, is a very awkward habit. The tightness that people feel around financial wellness and safety. And of course, that doesn't help anyone's mentality. So a staggering 80% of households with older adults are financially struggling today or at risk of falling into economic hardship. So all these things compounded and facts like that are contributing to the fear of not having enough money. It is real. So please, similar to number 4 in this video, it's all about where you focus your attention. There is a way to uncover options and the right options for you. And you can create revenue and wellness and a work and passion and contribution that is life-giving, not only for your audience, but also for you and your energy and longevity. I've seen this time and time again. Lack begets more lack in your reality. Abundance thinking unlocks possibilities and opportunities, and it is amazing to see. You have the power to rewrite your chapter, and you can turn your retirement from a feeling of lack and loss and confusion into a period of not only abundance, but also deeper exploration and growth and joy. It is completely worth turning your retirement around from one that's draining to one that's energizing. It's completely possible to go from hating retirement to loving retirement. So head over to our video number 2 if you're interested in diving into this deeper and it resonates. Thank you so much for being here and striving to be your best during retirement. We need more people like you helping to shift our culture to be better. Please check out the resources to turn your retirement into the best years full of purpose and passion. That's the whole premise of this movement. It's a positive ripple effect. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.